to JTOL, Just Thinking Out Loud, where everyday discussion for everyday people are spoken out loud. Now here's your host, Sonia Green.
Well, hello, everybody. What's up? I know it's been a minute. I haven't been on. Welcome. This is Hot Sauce, also known as Sonia Green. How are you? It's been a while. Listen, I've been very busy. I'm trying to work up some good stuff, preparing the television network so you guys can have exciting things to see and hear. Listen, when we do it, I want you please be a part of it. We got some great movies coming out, some great content coming out. So I've been very busy working, trying to make it better for our community. So again, welcome. Glad to see you. Listen, if you're not, listen, I know today that you took the time out to come and share and watch us today, but can you please do me this one, actually two favors. Number one, can you please share this broadcast? It's very vital. Listen, we always talking about trying to build our community. A lot of us talk about not what we ain't doing with the community, what the community should be doing, what if we had this community, what we could be doing. But listen, this is your opportunity to be a community influencer. Can you please share this video with pastors, with people who have nonprofits, those that have for-profits, entrepreneurs, people who want to get a nonprofit, because I have this awesome man of God that's coming on to share with us some things. So I'm going to let him talk about it, but I want you to know that we have to be about our Father's business. We can no longer sit and talk about it. We have to be about our Father's business. And can I say this? We always say that the wealth of the wicked is saved up for the just. But let me share this. Ain't nobody coming knocking on your door and say, here's a check. So I want you to understand that. So there's some processes and things that we have to do that's out there. The money is out there, but how do we get to it? So again, welcome to JTOL TV Talk. Again, where I am your host, Sonia Green. I'm so excited that you're here. And listen, I'm gonna bring my special guest up into the room, Mr. Osecola Thomas. Did I get it right? Osecola?
You did. Thank you very much.
Yes! I've been working on that. So I just want to welcome you to JTOL TV Talk. I'm really excited that you're here. We have some great things to share. I know in September the 23rd, we have a grant funding workshop that's coming. And listen, you all have to be there. You know, I usually don't beg, but I am really imploring and begging you all to come. It's not, no one's making no money. It's not about money making. It's about community building. How can you have a church or a business or a nonprofit in the community and the community is dying, right? How could you do that? So my brother here, this man of God, awesome man of God, is going to share with us some things. Now, I don't know. I'm just in for the ride. So I'll welcome Mr. Thomas. Glad to see you. Glad to hear you wrote, what's that, 80 million? I wrote 9. I think I wrote 85. After you told me about North Carolina and South Carolina, it's about 85.
Yes, we're waiting for North Carolina to come in.
See? So listen, so I just want to welcome you to JTOL TV Talk. I'm really excited that you're here, that you have taken the time out your busy schedule, even just to come to the D and release that wealth that everybody think God's going to put the check in the mail. And sir, so can you just tell us something about yourself? Tell us who you are, and just you go ahead. It's your show. I'm just going to shut my mouth and just let you lead.
Well, again, thank you, Ms. Green, for the invitation this evening. So my name is Osecola Thomas. I am a nonprofit consultant and proposal writer. I use the phrase or title grant writer because that's how many people recognize the profession. But in all actuality, grant writers are individuals who write proposals for nonprofits to receive grant funding or charitable dollars. So in essence, I am a proposal writer. I hail from the great state of New Jersey. My academic credentials, I graduated from a conservative evangelical biblical university, Philadelphia Biblical University in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. My undergraduate studies was in biblical theology. I have a master's in New Testament theology and organizational leadership. I'm academically trained to create corporate structures. I create for-profit structures, limited liability companies, LLCs, which are hybrid entities. I create single member managed LLCs. So you can create an LLC as a sole proprietor, limiting your liability. I also create C corporations, S corporations, and tax exempt nonprofits under Internal Revenue Code 501, Section C3, because these entities are charitable, religious, educational, scientific, literary, etc. So academically, over the last going on 6 years now as a solo practitioner, having started my own practice, I write funding proposals for public school systems, post-secondaries, faith-based institutions, and startup nonprofits, and have to date brought in a little over $80 million, waiting for North Carolina to come in, and we hope we're going to have an $83 to $85 million total at the end of this calendar year. So I'm here tonight to talk to the listening audience about the dollars that are being allocated under the current administration as it pertains to educational funding and juvenile justice funding, because I want to make sure that every nonprofit throughout the country understands that the opportunity to apply for dollars is now. Biden has the highest structured after-school funding allocations in history. His juvenile justice allocations were second only to President Obama in 2010. So his allocations were second to President Obama, but his proposed budget for juvenile justice in 2024 will double his initial allocation when he took office. So that is truly saying something. So when it comes to faith-based institutions, startup nonprofits, you're eligible to apply for these dollars. As a matter of fact, some of the dollars that I'll be talking about at the grant funding workshop, not only are nonprofits eligible to apply, but for-profits are eligible to apply. So there are dollars where for-profits, LLCs, C corporations, S corporations are eligible to apply for structured after-school funding to address the academic disparities within the K through 12 public school system. So I want to share this information with the churches, how you can apply through your church or your faith-based institution, and then the church can create an LLC and also receive a second cohort of funding through that LLC, and then have two pots of funding coming in, operating simultaneously underneath their organizational umbrella. So the opportunity is there. And so that's a little bit about Osceola, and I'll talk more about this funding as we delve deeper into the conversation.
I messed up. Wow, that's a lot. That's really a lot. I really appreciate you sharing just a little bit about yourself. So can we just going to give a little background? So how did you get into what you're doing? Was this something that you planned to do, or did it just kind of happen? How did this happen? How did you find yourself in this role?
I actually, in the state of New Jersey, as I said, I hail from the state of New Jersey. So in New Jersey, I worked as a regional director, and I worked for an organization whose mission was to keep youth maintained in the least restrictive environment. So we advocated for youth to be rehabilitated within their community in a normalized setting. So having, worked with the organization, I work with gang offender population. I work with some of the most violent youth in the state of New Jersey, and I help create at the state level individualized service plans, evidence-based methodologies to help bring youth out of locked facilities, undergird them with social supports to reduce recidivism rates. So that was part of my job there in the state of New Jersey. When I relocated to the state of North Carolina, I worked with the public school system. I was also an executive director for the county overseeing Project Hope, which addressed the health disparities in one of the most fragile corridors in the city of Charlotte. I also served as the executive director of the Salvation Army and their Center for Hope, addressing the issue of homelessness, drug addiction, mental health issues, etc. So in doing that, of course, I had to write grant applications or funding proposals for these organizations. So that's how I became acclimated to the world of grant funding for nonprofits. Having worked with the school system and having written their Title I grant proposals, their Title IV, their Title V grant applications, I was very successful. As a matter of fact, when it came to the public school system, some of the proposals that I wrote were scored the highest in the state of North Carolina of all 100 counties. And so I decided to resign my position and start my own practice so that I could work with startup nonprofits, the faith-based institution, because as I shared with you, going to school, my goal was to aspire to the pastorate. And so I always believe that the goal of the church is not to build brick and mortar, but to build people. And so that gave me an opportunity now to work with a faith-based community to help them access these dollars so they could provide programs and services in their local community and help rebuild their community, as Nehemiah did. So that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm hosting these workshops across the country. This year, God has really blessed here in the state of South Carolina where I reside. All three of my clients whose proposals we wrote, and two of them are startups, they were all funded at 100%. So when I say that startup nonprofits are eligible for these dollars, you can have a startup nonprofit apply for dollars at the state level and receive multi-year funding.
Wow. So you that's awesome. So I have a question here. I'm gonna pose it up here. That's my sister there.
What percentage do you get from a grant for a? I hope I'm understanding this question correctly. So if a faith-based organization, a church, applies for dollars and they are awarded the dollars, the allocation to the church is 100%. They're the lead applicant. Whatever their line item budget calls for, whatever that total dollar amount is in their line item budget, that's the amount that the state will allocate to your agency. That's your funding request.
Okay. So that's very good. So excuse me. So I like what you said. You said you kind of hit on this. You said startup nonprofits
Yes.
have the opportunity to get or receive a grant. So yes. Most of the time, I know I hear, when I was out there, I would hear a lot of people say it's little money, $2,000, maybe $5,000. What's the opportunity? What's the most you've ever garnered for someone who's just started, and the lowest the highest and the lowest, I guess the best to say?
I think the lowest would be one of my juvenile justice clients. And I think that allocation was somewhere around, I would say anywhere from $185,000 to $200,000 for their first year of operation. Wow. That's the minimal. When you're talking about maximum funding, we're talking over $5 million for one agency. Wow. Now here's the great thing. And again, documentation beats conversation. So I have documentation where with a startup nonprofit, a juvenile justice nonprofit, the proposal that we wrote for this organization, which went before their Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, the entire council. Now understand the JCPC is an interdisciplinary body of professionals. So this consists of your superintendent, your chief of police, your sheriff, your director of social services, your director of area mental health. So all your major players in your respective counties. This nonprofit, I wrote their proposal, and as a startup, the county wrote them and said, it was the best proposal that their body had ever read.
Wow.
So again, this is a startup. I have another example of another client in North Carolina who was a teacher, educator. I wrote their Form 1023 application, submitted it to the Internal Revenue Service. While the Internal Revenue Service was reviewing their application for federal tax exemption, I was writing their proposal to the Department of Public Instruction. They received their tax determination letter from the Internal Revenue Service. They were granted tax exempt status. 2 months after receiving their status, they received their award notification from the Department of Public Instruction, and they were awarded a 3-year grant. They scored in the top 7% of the state of North Carolina out of all 100 counties. You're talking a startup organization that had not even been in existence 6 months. And now they're receiving a 3-year award. This teacher was able to pay themselves a full-time salary as the director and administrator of this after-school nonprofit.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So listen, we're going to take a commercial break. Then I have some more questions and we'll be right back.
Certainly.
So you guys, hey, thank you for watching JTOL TV Talk, where I am your host, Hot Sauce. Listen, please, I'm begging y'all, share this live. We trying to get some money. We trying to help us get some money to change our community. Listen, Fannie Lou Hamer says, you can pray all you want, but if you don't do nothing, God is going to listen to your prayers. Because he ain't going to send somebody to knock on your door and bring you some money. Change is within your grasp. Be part of the community. Change your community. Listen, we'll be right back after this station break. Share it. That's the least you can do. And go and like me on I'm sorry, that's my watchdog next door. Go and like me too, also on YouTube, JTOL Productions. We'll be right back.
So my husband had this wonderful idea, and Heroes Alliance really was birthed from him. It was just his thought that this generation needs direction, and if we're here, we have to impact. If we're here, we have to impact this generation. We can't just let it go and not have a voice and help in the direction that it goes. That was his heart. His heart was to see the youth be all that they could possibly be on the inside. That was really his heart and his point behind it all, to be able to make an impact on this generation. And he would say often, if you're breathing, because you're breathing, who is being impacted by that? Because you're breathing, because you're here. How does that make a difference that you're here? And that is, he said that often. And a lot of what Heroes Alliance has become is because of that. Individually, we are one drop, but together we are an ocean. That was his line. That's what his thought was. And so I just wanted to continue that and to have my voice along with his in saying that together we can really make a big impact in the city of Detroit and with our youth, and helping them to realize that together we can really do a lot. So how Heroes Alliance will combat this thing that is happening with our youth of not being social, not understanding the importance of working together. It does just that. It helps them understand how to communicate, how to see the importance of someone coming along and helping in us, having this goal and being able to reach it together. Heroes Alliance really helps in that way because it will help them to see and understand the importance, again, of us coming together. This generation is not good at communicating. They're so used to just texting something and not being able to feel each other. And so again, Heroes Alliance will help in that aspect. They will help in teaching our youth how to communicate, how to socialize and understand each other, how to, I keep saying communicate, but to me that's the biggest thing. The communication has been demolished, and we in some kind of way are helping to bring that back among our children.
Hey, welcome back to JTOL TV Talk, where I am your host, Sonia Green. Hey, listen, welcome back. I'm glad you stayed. I'm glad you're sharing. I'm glad you're asking questions. So listen, I want to bring Mr. Thomas back up again, and let's finish this conversation. So, Mr. Thomas, I
Yes,
like
ma'am.
that. I think about Dave Thomas. Where's the beef, Dave? But so you've gave a lot of good, meaty information for people to come out and be supportive and get this money. So my next question for you is, you're coming to Detroit September the 23rd, and we're starting at 10 p.m. Y'all gonna get some free continental breakfast. You know what the continental breakfast is. So, and he's going to present to you all how and what to do. So how often you travel a lot? So tell us some of the cities that you have impacted. And because we know Detroit is going to be one. Detroit is ready to pop. So can you tell us some of the cities that you impact, and why do you believe that Detroit is one of the greatest, a great city to come, and is right for what's happening now out with what President Biden is doing in the community for the community, sir?
Certainly. So I travel, you said it correctly, I travel around the country. As a matter of fact, I was privileged to even travel outside of the country to China. And when I was invited to China, I was invited to China to help create an educational model that would help their secondary students matriculate into our colleges and universities here in the West. And not only matriculate into our universities, but also to graduate on time with their 4-year cohort. So I designed a model that would track them at every level of classification and undergird them with the social supports that they needed to address any non-academic barriers that may have been negatively impacting student learning. And so I was very successful in creating and launching that in Suzhou and Guangzhou, China. Currently, I travel all around the country, the state of New Jersey, the state of Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, the state of Alabama, the state of Illinois. So I'm looking forward to coming to the state of Michigan, specifically the city of Detroit, because in researching, Detroit is I think the last statistic that I read, or the last piece of research that I read, had Detroit as, if not the most violent, it was definitely in the top 3 most violent cities in the country. So I certainly want to come and talk to the stakeholders there and the faith-based practitioners there, just to share with you that under the Biden administration, there are dollars for you to launch structured after-school programs that divert young people from committing crimes. When you divert a young person from committing a crime, you become a part of the federal initiative RED, which is reducing racial and ethnic disparities. I'll talk about those dollars. Also, the church needs to understand, startup nonprofits need to understand that you can create a model that receives funding in year 1, have 3 to 5 years of funding under that cohort. You can apply the following year and receive a second cohort of funding for an additional 5 years. And then if you're business savvy, which I'll teach these strategies, you can actually launch a for-profit subsidiary and have both the nonprofit and for-profit receiving funding for each of those 3 to 5 years. And you can do this successfully for up to 10 funding cycles. So you're talking anywhere from 30 to 50 years of funding operating under each business vehicle or each business entity. Talk about creating grassroots level change. So we're going to talk about, how do we apply for these dollars? How do we create evidence-based models that we can track in partnership with the post-secondaries or universities to show through a longitudinal study that what you're doing works within your community? How can we replicate those models to create subordinate chapters and ensure organizational longevity to what we're doing, with the goal being to eradicate poverty, to create 700 credit score communities, to close the achievement gap and ensure that our students graduate on time, to divert our Black and brown boys from the criminal justice system, and to ensure that people are receiving a livable wage. They're moving from government housing to home ownership, And we're showing through an evidence-based study that what we're doing actually moves people from poverty to middle class to affluence. So we're going to talk about all of these strategies, and I'm looking forward to it when I come to Detroit on September the 23rd.
So listen, guys, I meant to put that screen up regarding about that. So we have a few questions. One, my sister says, I would like to talk to you more, sir. Will you come on out September the 23rd? You'll have an opportunity to speak with him, sis. And that's some of the things that I am doing with JTOL, far as performing arts. So trust me, I've been on that, and yes, you can do something with that. I just wanted to answer that. So, and then Annette, thank you, sis, for watching. Wow. Okay. So, and then we have Miss Linda Fields, my partner, who we are partnering and bringing Mr. Thomas in. So you also said some great things. So here's the thing. What I'm finding is that, and what I'm finding, people, especially, I don't know why we do that. We always wait to the last minute to register. So it's very important that you register, because we don't have a lot of seating, and our seating is limited. Don't, and don't hiccup at the price. And I'm not going to say, like most people say, you pay Beyonce. Listen, that's your money. It's like the Lord can't do any more than have you throw the nets out. He had Peter throw the nets out, but it was up on Peter how much he wanted to bring in. If Peter didn't want to bring in a lot, those nets, he could have just brought it. Oh, it's too heavy, God, I can't do it, or whatever the case may be. So God has given us the nets. He's told us to throw it out there. Now it's incumbent upon you to have the faith to believe that God is going to do this for you. And I don't even want to limit it to by saying, because I don't want to think that this is just a religious or church only event. This is a nonprofit event. If you are a nonprofit, even I think you shared with me before, man, about the for-profits. Can you just talk about the for-profits? Because I know you shared with me about that. Can you share a little bit about that as well?
Certainly. So one of the major funding streams that I'll be introducing to the attendees is for structured after school. There is a federal initiative sponsored through the U.S. Department of Education. That initiative is engaging every student. Under that initiative, it has been proposed by the federal government that every student in the country have a slot in an after-school program. So that's why you see an increase in dollars for structured after school. But not only do you see an increase in dollars or allocations, you also see that now the eligibility criteria, which means what type of entities are eligible to apply for these dollars, those entities have expanded beyond nonprofits. Now you can apply if you are a for-profit. Now watch how savvy this is. If you have a 501c3, you can apply for structured after-school funding. The first year you receive that grant, and it's a 3 to 5 year grant. The second year, you can launch a for-profit single member managed LLC and apply for a second cohort of funding. Now your nonprofit receives funding, your for-profit receives funding. I'm going to show you what to do once you have funding coming in through both of those vehicles, because it's about diversification. And so once you have that, we're going to show you how to replicate that, how to position yourself at the national level to become a model of promise, and the rest will be history. But I'm going to talk about that. But not only am I going to do that, organizations around the country, they know my track record. I don't say this to sound arrogant. I say this because it's the truth. God gives favor to whom he will, and God has shown favor upon my life and my practice. My success rate in writing grant proposals is in the 90-some percentile. The grants that I write for startups score in the top 10, some in the top 5% of their state. And these are startup nonprofits. Clients pay me anywhere from $3,500 to $5,000 to write their grant proposal, because not only do I write it, I facilitate the planning process. I facilitate bringing stakeholders and interagency collaboratives together to discuss creating an evidence-based model that will give them the competitive advantage at the state level upon submission. So they pay me anywhere from $3,500 to $5,000 to write their proposal. For those who attend the session, I'm going to give them one of my highest scored grant proposals written to date, and that proposal garnered over $1.8 million. But I'm going to give that to each attendee that comes to the workshop, because I know the information that I'm going to give you will be helpful, but I also want to give you a template so you will put it into practice so that your nonprofit can start receiving dollars.
Ooh, I feel like Medea when the girl husband had beat her up and he went home and he said he don't give her any money. He said, "Did you cook?" She put in how much she charged her for. Did you wash his clothes? Did you do this? And she started adding up all that money, and the calculator broke because of the excitement of this. Listen, people. This is fantastic. Now, how many, I know some of us have attended some great grant funding and workshops and different things. So how many grant workshops have you attended where, number one, because he's a fiduciary, so he's obligated to do the right thing, number one. Number two, and what I mean by the right thing, he is obligated to work in your best interest. Am I right, sir?
You're correct.
Okay. And so, well, before I go on, I want you to talk about what a fiduciary is. Number two, excuse me, he said he's going to give you a template. Now, let me just say this, you have to register. You have to register. It's $150. And within that $150, you get the template, you get a continental breakfast, and you get Mr. Thomas and all the information that he's coming to share with us. And can I just say something? This man right here is very accessible. He's not the kind of guy that gives you the information and then just walk away from you. He's very accessible. He wants to ensure that we get this money. I have talked to him before I even decided to even bring him here. I have reached out to him several times. Excuse me, not one time has he ever said, "I don't have time to talk to you. Don't call me." He's always been accessible. Now, I'm not saying don't call him like he's your best friend, but he is willing to give you some guidance, within reason, to help you to be successful in getting and garnering this money to do what? To change our communities. We can't listen. We keep running out to all these other different communities and helping them make their communities better. How about if we just stay here and build our own community? How about we make them jealous of what we can do within our own community? We want better schools. Guess what? Let's start making our communities better where people want to come in. We can get some tax fund. And how do we do that? We go in, get grant money, begin to employ these children. Just a lot of things that we can do to shape and build our community. I'm sorry. I'm just really hyped about that because it's so important. Why are we building someone else's community? Like, I can afford to live anywhere I want, but I'm staying right here in this community. Why? Because I want to change the community that I live in, right? So anyway, let me move on. Sir, can you tell us what a fiduciary is and the responsibility of a fiduciary?
I'm a fiduciary in several capacities, actually, but that is one whose responsibility is to do what's in the best interest of the client. So I'm a fiduciary I have several licenses. One, I'm a grant writer, a proposal writer. I'm also licensed with insurance and also do financial products. So with that being said, I'm ethically bound to do what's in the best interest of my client. And so any client that I work with, they will tell you that it's always my goal to make sure that not only am I communicating value, but also that I'm giving more value than I'm receiving. So the one thing that I can honestly say for those who are in attendance, I'm going to make sure that I give you more value than any dollar amount that you will pay to attend this session. The grant proposal that I'm providing to each attendee, as I share with you, that grant proposal costs the client thousands of dollars for me to write it. but I'm going to share that with each of you so that upon receiving the information that I'll be disseminating, and I'm going to share with you all of the strategies that I use when it comes to identifying funding, reaching out to funders, and how to take those dollars and create a comprehensive model. But after I do that, I don't want you to leave and say, wow, didn't he give us a lot of great information? What do I do next? No, once the grant application is advertised in your respective state, you're going to have a template there that shows you how to complete each section. So a lot of the hard or heavy lifting, I've already done that for you. But yes, a fiduciary has to do what's in the best interest of their client. They're ethically bound to do so. And that depends on your respective industry. So for me, when it comes to grant writing, I'm ethically bound to make sure that I'm doing what's in your best interest when it comes to any type of grant consultation, any type of advisement, any type of information that I give you with respect to funders or with respect to those dollars or the submission process. And so I hold myself accountable to that standard, to the highest standard, because I answer to a higher standard.
Amen. I love that, because a lot of people don't know what a fiduciary is. I really didn't know. I had to, but I learned by just checking it out and learning exactly what's the responsibility of a fiduciary. So listen, guys, we will be right back after this commercial break. Please share, send it to your pastor, send it to your friends. This is a great opportunity for us to This is the wealth of the wicked being laid up for the just, but it's not coming through your mailbox. Ain't nobody ringing your doorbell. You have to go out there. You still have to put your hand to the plow and make it happen. It may be a little bit easier for us because we got Christ in our lives. He's practically putting it in your pocket, in your hand, but you have to do the work to attain it. So listen, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Welcome back. How long has it been since your last confession?
Too long. Each wrong made right brings me a little closer to where I belong. One soul at a time.
You met someone special.
Special like mom?
Like, I'm ready for us to be a family. And I know you want that too. Yeah?
Yes.
Hello?
What is your confession?
I know what you've done, Christian.
Nicole, baby, is that you?
Please let me help you. Confess your sin or lose Nico.
Nico! Why are you doing this?
You have to make this right.
Sometimes I tell myself,
Confess, or he will pay the price.
I can save them. I can save them. One soul at a time.
Who are you? What do you want from me?
What is your confession?
Hey, what's up? I'm Coach E, the owner of Fit Habit Fitness and Supplements. Most of our clients come to us because they don't have time to get to the gym. They hate sharing equipment at the gym. They need more accountability. They need someone to prepare a meal plan and monitor their daily food intake. They hate doing cardio all day. They hate drinking shakes all day, and they want real food. They need to lose more than 50 pounds, have small children at home. They want not just a six-pack, but they want their life back. They want to build confidence, look great, but also feel great. They want to lose the weight and keep it off as a lifestyle change. Get off the high blood pressure medication, the list goes on. Our online training is a new and exciting way for me to offer cost-effective fitness and nutrition, life-changing transformation coaching for the entrepreneur who works from home, who needs an effective program without the limitations and expenses of the gym. Our coaching program can be utilized by anyone, anywhere, offering convenience, responsiveness, flexibility, and accountability. Best of all, I can empower my clients with more accountability and support than I ever could in person. So I want to talk to you today. Let's schedule a free consultation and goal assessment so I can see if you will be a great fit for our fitness and nutrition coaching program. Click the link below to get started today. Let's get fit. Peace.
I say this to any marriage that's in a bad place, or
Yes,
couples
sir.
who are considering getting married, but y'all are in a bad place. Here goes a wisdom key that has helped me in Evelyn. Nothing is ever solved constantly going back to the past. If you want to bring a healing to your marriage, you're going to have to own your past. Call it what it is. I did it, I done it, I confess it. And then let each other agree to build a new beginning. Something in this society is happening right now wherein it's a craziness that people's past sins, failures, weaknesses, even ignorance can't change. Well, I believe in 2 Corinthians 5:17 that if any man or woman be in Christ, they can become new creatures. Old things can pass away and all things can become new.
Hey, welcome back to JTOL TV Talk, where I am your host, Hot Sauce. Welcome, welcome, welcome again. Please welcome. We're talking about the grant funding workshop which will be in Detroit, Michigan, September the 23rd at 10 o'clock at Greater Ebenezer Hill there on Finkel Avenue in the D. Listen, we would love for you to come. We're trying to build our city. God is sending a man of God. He's not only is a man of God, but he's a great businessman, very wise man, very patient man, and to teach us on how to get this money. So come on through. He already said he's going to give you a grant, give you a copy, not give you a grant. Let me change that. He's not giving us a grant, but he's going to give you a sample document of a grant that I think he said is I forgot. He'll tell you. I kind of forgot it just that quick. Y'all forgive me. My memory is just coming back. But listen, I urge you all to come on through. It's Saturday from 10 to 1. We're going to have continental breakfast. You get a template. That's it. Thank you, Holy Spirit. You get a grant template. And come on through and let's change our community. Stop talking about Detroit and stop letting other people take it over. Let's take it over for ourselves. So I'm bringing back to the stage Mr. Osecola Thomas, and we're really excited again to have you there. We got him on for a few more minutes. And so is anything else you want to share, sir?
I just really want to encourage startup nonprofits who have never received funding, faith-based institutions that are looking for funding to create change within their local communities to come out to the workshop. Because my goal is to make sure that everyone in attendance is acclimated to how to access these dollars. These are the highest allocations in history under Biden's administration. So when you talk about structured after school dollars, there are increases being proposed for fiscal year 2024. I'll discuss those increases. When you talk about juvenile justice funding, we're going to talk about where are the dollars under the Title II formula grants for juvenile justice. So we're talking about reentry programming. We're talking about gang prevention, intervention, and suppression services funding, racial and ethnic disparities funding, diversion program funding. So the dollars are there. And then I heard, or I saw, someone posted the question talking about their performing arts program. Well, the big national push is now STEAM. Historically, it was STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But now they've incorporated the arts. So the big push now is for STEAM-based initiatives. So the opportunity is there for you to launch an after-school STEAM-based academy and have the State Board of Education pay for it. So the opportunities are there for you to apply for these dollars, to contract with external vendors, partner with your local communities. And I have some clients and churches that are doing some great things. We have Wells Fargo at the bank teaching financial literacy through their hands-on banking program. We have the health department on board dealing with health disparities and nutrition. The police department is there talking about cyberbullying. gang extrication. They're talking about how parents can deal with sexting online. So we have the police department at the table. We also have the workforce development board at the table. We have the community college at the table with GED programming, and also workforce certification programs so that parents, upon receiving their GED, can also receive a certification in a demanding career field so they can earn a livable wage. So there are so many things, and some of the students, especially my students in South Carolina in the rural areas, they are actually using these dollars to create urban farming initiatives. So in those food deserts, you have young Black and brown students. They are launching urban farms and they're feeding their communities as health ambassadors. So we're doing some powerful things. You can transform the face of a community. All it takes is one startup grant. And then we'll talk about sustainability and how you can leverage community resources to add organizational longevity to your initiative. But every church should be at the helm driving community change. The issue is most pastors are acclimated to how to exegete a text. They are acclimated to apologetics, how to defend the faith. They understand eschatology, the study of the last things. Jesus is soon to come. He's looking for a church without spot or wrinkle. But most are not familiar with how do we access grant dollars. As a matter of fact, where do grant dollars derive from? Well, grant dollars come from the working class of your parishioners within your congregation. And I'm going to share with you where grant dollars come from, how grant dollars are divided among federal agencies, and how those grant dollars come back to the community. And I'm going to share with you why no state director should ever deny you an audience because you justify their federal allocation.
Well, I wish I had a bomb. Boom, drop the mic or something on that one. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So great. So I have Tanisha, I hope I'm saying your name right. Gardner, she asked, what about an LLC?
You can apply as an LLC, even if you are a single member managed LLC. You can still apply. Even if you are an LLC identified by the IRS as a disregarded entity functioning as a sole proprietor, you're still eligible to apply. So to answer that question, yes, you can.
Awesome. So someone asked me about they have a 508. How can they, would this workshop work for them?
Yes, they can apply even with a 508. They're still eligible to apply. With these funds that I'm sharing, the structured after school funds, you're eligible to apply for these dollars as a nonprofit, as a for-profit, or as a state incorporation without any federal designation. So you're still eligible.
Listen, if y'all don't come here, if y'all don't get here and come and check this stuff out, shame on you. It will be shame on you. And can y'all do me a favor? I know a lot of y'all are looking. Can you just open it up and just hit that like button? That's the least I'm asking you to do. Can you just open it up and hit the like button? Because we want this to go viral. You're not doing it for me, even though it would be great. But can you open it up, hit the like button so more people can see this content, and please be a part of that. We are accountable for our own community. Let's make a change. So I got him for about 2 more minutes. Anything else you want to say, sir, before we wrap this up?
Does any of your listeners have a question? If they did, I would like to answer their question before I give final remarks.
So team, any questions anyone want to put up there? I know one of my friends asked about the 508. Oh, we got 2 popped up. So let me just hit, Miss Tanisha wrote a whole paragraph.
Okay.
I have a ministry that encourages young and older women that deal with low self-esteem by overcoming with the word of God. I would love to connect with churches and other organizations to promote the word of God and how we can apply it to our lives and allow God to do the work in us. It's so much I would like to love. Is this free? No, ma'am. It is not free. And it's not because we don't want to do it free. There's a charge of $150. Mr. Thomas is not doing this for free. We have to pay for the facility. We have to, I don't want to say pay him, but we have to, a workman is worthy of his hire. So we have to pay him. And I don't want him to come in and think that that he's not appreciated. Number one. And number two, a lot of times when we do free things, people don't take it as serious. If I may say that, they may not appreciate it as much. So I'm sure that it's $150. That's not a lot. As a matter of fact, to me, that's really cheap, because what he does, he can garner $500 to $1,000 for what he does. So I'll please forgive me. I'm not trying to be mean. So hold on. Let me here go another question. Please don't let that hinder you from coming. If God wants you here, He's gonna make a way. We believe God for everything else. Let's believe God for $150. Miss Michelle Murphy says, do you have someone that can assist in completing the IRS 5013? Yes, ma'am, we sure do. Come on through. We have a person there in the form of Linda Fields, and I'm not sure if Mr. Thomas does these type of things, but Linda Field does. I think he does more than that. I don't want to put that in his mouth, so I'll let him answer that.
Well, certainly that is part of our practice, but I know that Ms. Fields is a resident there of Detroit. So if you have someone that's there with you, then I would strongly suggest using that individual who's a part of your local community. But let me just share this. I always teach my clients, because not only do I create corporate structures, and then upon those corporate structures being formed, whether at the state level or the federal level, I work with them to receive startup capital. And once they receive startup capital, my goal is to help them create subordinate chapters so they can have some organizational longevity to their programmatic efforts. But with that being said, the goal is also, if you follow me on social media, I teach a lot about financial literacy, because you can't be successful in a capitalist society unless you understand how capital works. So I teach a lot about financial literacy as well. And one of the things that I teach my clientele is that business should be reciprocal. If I'm disseminating value, in return, I should be receiving value. So when I come to Detroit, I'm bringing value. I'm bringing 28 years of experience and $80+ million of successful grant awards with me to your city. So I'm going to be disseminating value. When I leave, I would like to leave having received value in return. And the value that I receive is in the form of compensation. The value that you receive is in the form of the information that helps you access the billions of dollars that are currently being allocated across the country under the American Rescue Plan or under Biden's administration. So remember this, business should always be reciprocal, value for value. When I meet with principals and we share with the principals, look, my client will be applying for 21st century funding. When they receive this funding, we want to know what students in your building have not demonstrated grade level proficiency on intergrade tests last year. Those are the students we want to recruit for this after school program. Then we want to know what teachers in your building have demonstrated double-digit growth on end of year tests with their students, because those are your most effective teachers. We want to hire your most effective teachers as tutors in the after school program to work with your most challenged students, so that those students now get extra time on task so they can master day school learning objectives. And we will pay for it through the grant budget. Field trips, my client will pay for it through their budget. You have to make sure that parents show up for parent-teacher conferences to satisfy your Title I requirements. What if my client with their program surveyed your parents to find out what their greatest needs are, and then structured their parent component around those needs to ensure that we had as many parents show up as possible? And what if during those evenings, we gave the first 30 minutes to you and your Title I staff so you can fulfill your Title I requirements? Now principals are really listening. But then I say to the principal, this is the value that my client brings to your school building. Can we not make value reciprocal, value for value? Mr. Thomas, what do you and your client need? We need in-kind facility space. I don't want my client to have to pay to lease a building. So can you provide us in-kind space as a donation? The program needs use of your classrooms, your media center, your computer lab, your gymnasium, your cafeteria, etc. And now the client has free use of space. that would have cost them anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a month easily. But now that's an in-kind contribution. It's value for value. So that's why when I travel, yes, there is a fee associated with people to attend the session, because at the end of the day, we'll both leave having received value. So I hope that provides an explanation.
Yes, it does. And you have, baby, it was great. So within the chat, my friends, listen, there's the flyer in there, all the information, it's on there, the link to pay the registration fee, and all the information that you need. I think I couldn't put everything down there, but I put enough in there to say, hey, this is something that I should need. Look, listen, nothing is free. I just want to say nothing is free. Education isn't free. We know that. I just had $170,000 forgiven of student loans. So thank you, Jesus. And so I just want to say nothing is free. So listen, if you want to pay, we have to pay sometimes for things that we have to do. I have a television network. Guess what? There is nothing free about it. I have to invest money in it so it can be successful. So, Mr. Thomas, I'm going to give you the last words. You got 2 minutes before you have to go. So go ahead and give us your last words.
Again, I look forward to seeing everyone on September 23rd. As I share with you, not only are we going to give you the information, but we are going to give you a template or a grant proposal, an actual proposal that was scored at the state level and was awarded funding. So you will leave with that information. Also, to those of you that have an opportunity to visit Amazon, I do have a book out, The Streets Can't Have My Son. It deals with the disproportionality of Black boys in special education and locked facilities. Whenever people purchase those books, that helps with the travel that I do when I go to different states to meet with state administrators to advocate for Black and brown children being rehabilitated in a normalized environment. So I'm fighting across the country now to keep our Black and brown boys out of locked facilities, especially our nonviolent offenders. So if you have an opportunity to purchase a copy of the book, that would certainly help us with what we're doing to advocate for our Black and brown boys. But again, I look forward to seeing each of you on September 23rd. And Ms. Green, thank you again for the invitation. And that's all that I have.
Thank you so much, sir. We bless you and we thank you that you love your community, our community, enough to say we got to make the change. We have to make the change. We have to stop letting other people shape our culture, and we shape our own culture. We appreciate everybody, don't get me wrong, but let us impact the culture we want to see. So thank you again, Mr. Osecola Thomas. Listen, before I couldn't even say it, I told you I was going to work on it. So anyway, God bless you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Listen, again, thank you, sir. I'm going to put you in the green room. I know you only have a few minutes, so you can go ahead and sign up because I know you have to be at another meeting. God bless you. I'll talk to you later, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So listen, guys. Yes, sister. Yes, Michelle. So listen, I think, I don't know if you guys can see the flyer on my page. So if you go and look, you can see the flyer. Please come on, be about this. I'm usually not one that really begs, but I am really begging you all to come and see it. We're not making any money. We're not trying to garner something from you. My heart has always been to help the community. Matter of fact, I wasn't going to do it. My sister approached me about it, and she said, let's partner and try to make some changes in our community and get people in to get this money so we can make some changes. And that's why I'm doing it. So we're not here making any money. Nobody's getting rich off of this. Trust me, we're not making anything off of this. And all of this is to help us get that money, get that bag, baby. So listen, God bless you again. My name is Hot Sauce, and I am the host of JTOL TV Talk. Listen, go on to the Blessing Project, TB Project 2 on your webpage and check it out. Go in there and there's a flyer in there. If you have questions or anything, please, by all means, please email me and we will do our best to answer your questions. And hopefully, Tanisha, we'll pray that maybe somebody donate a spot and that you could come and be a part of it. I understand sometimes it's tight and we have all these big dreams, but you know what? To be great is sacrifice, right? To be great is sometimes there's sacrifice, and how bad do you want it? So anyway, God bless you all. You all have a wonderful evening. Again, my name is Hot Sauce, and I am the host of JTOL TV Productions. Thank you for watching. Can you all please do me a favor? Go over to YouTube and like JTOL Productions. Not only that, open up your Facebook page and hit like, and then you can close it, and then you don't have to do it. But at least just support me in that kind of way. Support our community, and so we can bring you better and better quality of television production. So God bless you. You all have a wonderful evening. Again, we'll see you September the 23rd over there at Greater Ebenezer. Come on and rock with us over there. You have a wonderful evening and a wonderful night. Peace.
Join us here next time on JTOL, Just Thinking Out Loud, where we ask and answer questions no one is willing to ask.